Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the ZoomOut podcast, the one of thousands of podcasts where 5 friends sit down and talk about their week full of games, movies, TV, and streaming on Twitch. I'm your host, David Lyle, and with me are my favorite streamers, I guess, and great friends, DARIK, Alex, BRODY, and Dallas. Let's get into this.
Hey.
DARIK?
Is it me?
As the most handsome. Yeah, you go first. How was your week?
Unbelievable.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about that compliment. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I came into this thinking about one thing and one thing only, and that's Pokemon cards. I don't know why I can't get enough of them, and it bleeds into gaming because there's a Pokemon trading card gaming game that you can gaming game. Yeah, you got me.
Right.
Sure.
You understand? Should I explain it
Yeah.
further? I think that gets it.
There was a great sentence. I loved gaming game. Do you mean explain the sentence further or the game?
I could do both, but we don't have enough
I would-
time.
I would explain the game. Maybe.
Well, I mean, people know what Pokemon is. I'm going to assume the world and the listeners know what Pokemon is. And as growing up, I always collected the cards. Didn't really play it too often. I just liked collecting the cards. But now that I'm an adult and have access to adult money, I've started collecting the cards again. And it's been quite a ride. And because I feel like I need a little bit more reasoning behind the purchase, I get more justification, I should say. I started playing the game too. And it's fun. It's fun to actually use the item for what it's supposed to be used for. But that's what I've been focusing on. Past couple of streams, I've opened a couple packs and it's been really successful. I think I mentioned that last time we spoke, but yeah, I think this is going to be a staple for my stream. Maybe opening Pokemon cards on stream or playing a Pokemon game here and there. I think it's a thing that I really enjoy, and I spend way too much money on. So
You've even been doing it on TikTok, eh? I saw that one.
yes,
You've been doing
yeah,
TikTok.
because it's such easy content for TikTok to just open a pack and then load it up. Like if you buy a box that has 10 packs in it, you have 10 TikToks right there. So I don't even have to think about making content for the next 10 days.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's
Nice.
it's easy. It might be like a little bit of a cop out, but whatever. At least I'm putting my Twitch link on the video.
But it's still like because you love to do it. Too.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not an authentic thing for you. Like you're genuinely probably excited to open up the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, little movie magic for you about those TikToks. I actually opened up the packs prior.
Wow.
And then I put the cards back in
Wow.
and pretended to open them
Wow,
back
you're a
up.
phony.
Yeah. It was just for that. It was just for these the series of 10. Going forward, I'll open them up
Wow.
because
I think Dallas said something about authentic.
yeah. I didn't think of the idea until after I'd already opened the cards and I was sitting there amongst all my garbage. I was like, wait a minute. So I just put them all back into their packs and just pretended to open them on camera again.
Wow.
Did anybody else collect like cards growing up, or like any other variants of cards? Like I know I was super into Yu-Gi-Oh, so I used to sit alone in my room with no friends and play with my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and that was fun.
I would have been
Anybody
your
else?
friend. I did the Pokemon cards. I did Digimon. I also did a lot of hockey cards.
Oh,
Hockey
Nice,
cards.
me too.
I never got into the sports card collecting,
No.
but I definitely did Yu-Gi-Oh. I actually, fun fact, I don't know if you remember that little like arm blade type thing that Yugi slaps the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I still have
was
it.
gonna
I had one. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you think I
Fully
didn't have one, pal?
Yeah, exactly. Do you think I did not wear that last night before bed? What?
I brought that to family function. I was like, Uncle Robert, duel.
It's time.
I feel like that was the very first iteration of the wow, wow, wow. You know,
Yeah.
It's just evolved from there.
If somebody's not using that as a Twitch alert, like they're failing.
Oh, true.
right?
Somebody should, yeah.
Ooh.
You see that on every one of our Twitches in the next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I'm not a phony. I never watched Yu-Gi-Oh.
I mean, not to knock Strudel, but Yu-Gi-Oh's way better than Pokemon. Like 100%.
Whoa!
100%.
1,000%.
Interesting.
I think. Wait. Let's pause. I think it's way better as a show and as a card game in terms of like a gaming license and just like getting to know the Pokemon. I think Pokemon's superior in that way. But like in terms of like an actual card game and the anime, I would 100%
You know,
agree with you. Yu-Gi-Oh is definitely.
I would actually board that boat because I did play the Yu-Gi-Oh game. I did not play Pokemon. Like I found myself playing the game.
Well, I think that's how it was as a kid, right? Was like you collected Pokemon cards and you're like, I have no idea how to play this. But then Yu-Gi-Oh, like everybody knew how to play Yu-Gi-Oh for whatever reason, and so you could just.
Well, the show taught you how to play it.
That's fair.
True.
But in Pokemon, they didn't teach you how to play it. They just like had fucking Charizard running around, and that's it.
Yep.
You can tell I watched a lot.
Charizard just runs around with his wings. So that I have 2 points. Can I name another point? Is it? Can I have
Granted.
another? Okay, cool.
Go for it.
The only other thing I wanted to talk about, and it's another kind of like a personal thing to me, but Far Cry 6 I wanted to chat about because.
Hey, why is that personal to you, Derek?
I'm glad you asked, Brody, because I definitely wasn't going to bring it up at all. I work at Ubisoft on a contractual basis, and for Far Cry 6, I actually worked as a production coordinator and on the mocap floor to capturing the performances of the actors. So it is a very special game to me, and I can't wait to play it. But they keep pushing back the release date, and it was supposed to come out in March. They pushed it back to May, and at first I thought it was like, okay, COVID's causing things to be pushed back, like reshoots and stuff like that. But as a production coordinator, most of it was done. There were some reshoots, but most of it was done. And it's really from the scare that happened with Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk came out and, it wasn't ready. Everybody hated it for that reason. It was buggy as hell. It just wasn't ready. And the people at Ubisoft with Far Cry 6 specifically, because Far Cry is such a beloved franchise for Ubisoft, they don't want to make that mistake, no matter how little of a bug it might be. They're covering all their bases, and which I totally get. And I was there and I saw everything, and they were doing a great job with that. But now it's become like they don't even have a release date for it anymore. It's just like sometime after April and before March 2022. So I just kind of want to rant about that.
I wonder how much, not this fully, it could be true or not, but I wonder how much of that is influenced also by global climate too. Like I don't know a lot of the details of the games, but like just judging by the trailer, it seems as if like it is kind of dealing with like a lot of like political like injustice and kind of like the rioting, and the world has kind of been filled with that the last year. So I wonder if like maybe there's some pushback from their marketing side that they don't want to push or put out a game about civil injustice in a time where there's a lot of civil injustice. Not to get too political.
Yeah, no, that very well could be, but I also don't think. I mean, other games have brought that to the table too. It on the surface, it's a dictator, it's a dictatorship and a revolution trying to take back their country. On the surface, that's what it is. And what game? There are plenty of games out there that have actually have that plot-driven story.
Yeah,
and go into it in full detail.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's a game, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a real based off of. I get that you can consider global climate when you're talking about these things, but all of the Far Cry games have like relatively similar plots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this isn't
So,
a baddie.
Yeah, and this isn't even a real place either. It's based off of I believe it was Cuba.
Cuba?
But it's not.
It screams Cuba.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not. It's a fictional place.
It's scuba.
It's not scuba.
Scuba.
It's got to be scuba.
It's gotta be.
But I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I want to doubt that, to be honest, because
me too. I just thought it was worth bringing up.
No, that's fair.
It's
that's
like
fair.
Just judging by the game and what it seems to be about. But yeah, they definitely the extra polish layer can be something you want to do. Or I don't know again the details of the games, but like working in game development myself, sometimes a system just isn't working like you want it to, and when you have a system. So like a core mechanic that is so ingrained in the entire game, if you find one bug, that can be a really long process to kind of smooth it out the entire game. So even though the gameplay looks fine, say like they have this like core collection system where like you get money for helping people and then that goes towards your base, just like hypothetically. that's just one mechanic, and most players will play it and be like, okay, that's just something in the game. But if that's supposed to be something that's like persistent the entire game, and you find a bug in it, that's an entire game's worth of code you now have to like scrub through just to see if you can smooth out this bug and fix that system, because it's a prolonging mechanic and not just something for a one instance in the game.
Nailed it.
So like there definitely could be something like that, but the delay sucks because I think I was just as excited as you, having not worked on it. But
yeah,
I get it.
All right.
I respect it though, because publishers need to do that with their games.
100%.
Especially now. You find a bug and it ruins one of the core systems, and you lose half the people. See ya, and they never come back.
Yep.
Yeah, they lose faith.
It's definitely. Okay, so Websy, or Dallas, however you want to be referred to as, tell us about your week and what you want to bring to the table after we've just listened to Darik's Pokemon and Far Cry Adventures.
That's an excellent question. This was a big week for me, specifically because it was my birthday week.
Hey.
Yay!
Huge flex.
So
huge flex,
cocky.
I know.
Happy
How
motherfucking
old did you
birthday.
turn?
I turned 26 years old. So
Ugh,
So young.
Still-
So young.
still a youngin'. So young, guys. Just like you don't even know. I can carry the world on my shoulders.
Does your
dude. I'm
back
so
hurt
young.
yet?
No, not yet. But I'm experiencing minor back pain, and I have a feeling it's going to become more severe over the course of the next 4 years. So I'm really looking forward to that as we progress
Nice.
through life.
Well, we're just going to call you Atlas from now on.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
I would.
better
I'm
than
actually going to
Dallas.
change my entire handle. This is the rebrand. You started it right here.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
what I wanted to bring to the table is, I really wanted to just discuss like the concept of foundational games, because I feel like everyone has like one, maybe two or three games that they remember from their childhood that maybe got them into a specific genre of gaming, and that really set like the foundation of who they are as a gamer. And I was thinking about this really heavily, and you guys can feel free to interject if you have games that you can think of. But I wrote down my 3 that really got me into the specific genres that I'm into right now. The first one was Phantasy Star Online,
Wow.
episode 1 and 2. It was for the GameCube.
Mhm.
It was like the first ever, I guess you could call it an MMORPG, because it had the online aspect, although I never utilized the online aspect. I just kind of used the offline one.
GameCube had online?
I didn't think
Yes,
so.
dude.
Wow.
Yes, this was the very first like online multiplayer RPG. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it. I'm no
Don't
scientist.
quote my
We're
words.
recording this.
We're putting
Okay.
this out for the public, but don't take his word for it.
Well, it's actually pretty good because I'm like 80% sure.
Okay.
If not more.
That's good.
It's going to go out, and like the part where you said it was yes, dude, is going to be like, beep,
Yeah.
like just blurred out.
Redacted.
Absolutely redacted. But that was one of my, I would say, the core. It's like what made me love MMOs and RPGs. So it's what got me into a little bit of like World of Warcraft. And there's a game that's coming out that we'll talk about, I'm sure, in like future episodes that I'm super excited for. The next one was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I think, in my opinion, the best first-person shooter that's ever been made. Just the core engine of it, the mechanics of everything, the weapon choice, the maps.
It's the Source Engine 2, if you want to know.
Yeah, I mean, like literally everything about that game was a driver for me to want to play more FPS games. It got me really into what is now Warzone and Apex. Which transitioned me into like battle royales and even like Fortnite and everything. So that was like the core foundation of FPS.
Not to mention the story. Modern Warfare story was incredible.
They did have a good story mode, although I never really played through the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was never like the story mode kind of guy.
Whereas I definitely am.
I think they say something like only 20% of people who play COD actually finish the story.
Really?
Right.
Yeah,
That's a low
it's pretty. But like the 1 year, I can't remember what game it was, but it came out and it didn't have a story, and people started to freak out, and then, but like no one plays the story anyways, and that's what like the developer said, like, hey, we can invest all our time into making a story, but like only 20% of people make it or actually finish it, but like I'm part of that 20%. I actually really love a good Call of Duty story. Just something about like being a military man, doing those actions, saving the world, it's fucking epic. And you don't get a lot of games where it's just like on rails, shoot and loot, or not shoot and loot, but like shoot and save the world. So it's pretty cool. I like a good story. I liked the Modern Warfare 1 to 3. That whole arc, the Makarov arc, was pretty epic.
I can't deny the draw for it. Like, I can see why there would be value in having a story mode, because it gets you more in tune with like the characters. Maybe it gives you an intro to some of the weapons that you like have to use, and it transitions into multiplayer. But I always, like, as soon as I got them, like, I was just pumped to 1v1 my friends on Rust with an intervention. You know, I was like, that was the appeal for me.
Nice.
So that was kind of the COD series and the first person shooter draw. And then the last one, which is something that I'm currently playing on stream, is the Legend of Zelda series. And this is like by far and away the most near and dear to my heart series. It's what made me love video games, just in a general sense. Ocarina of Time is, like, in my opinion, the best game ever made. The story, the music, man, when you boot up Ocarina of Time and it's like boom diddly-dee, it's just like brings a tear to my
Did they record your voice for that title screen?
They did. Yeah, they did. And then they just had to like re-record it and dub over it with a couple instrumentals.
That's okay, still you.
Yeah, it's still me though. It's not me, just as a disclaimer. But those are the three that I think like made me the gamer that I am today, which is something that I feel like a lot of people can resonate with, because I'm sure you guys have titles that you're like heavily attached to.
Right now I'm just thinking about how Halo 3 is not in your foundational games.
Oh, true.
It's blowing my mind.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I'm actually surprised to not see that there. I wanted to bring up something, Dallas, just because of what you were saying with Call of Duty and then changing to Warzone and Apex. I don't know if you're aware of this, but like the people that made Call of Duty Modern Warfare number 1 and number 2 were part of Infinity Ward, obviously. But there was a big lawsuit with Activision, and Vince Zampella and Jason West left, who are the founders of Infinity Ward, left Infinity Ward and made their own studio, brought a bunch of people from Infinity Ward to that studio, and they named it Respawn, which is the people that make Apex Legends and Titanfall. And that's why that game feels so similar to like the early...
I did not know that, and it just gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So when you love Apex Legends, it's literally made on the same engine that you were sitting at so many years ago playing Modern Warfare 2.
Guys.
That's why they feel so similar. Wow. Like an R301 feels like an M4 for a reason. Like
I love Apex.
And this is why I'm on the podcast.
You're giving me like a shiver down my spine, because
I
like the fact that you just said like that's why the R301 feels like that. Like I remember the feeling of like that M4, and it's the exact same feeling. It's that's really geeking me out right now.
Wow.
I'm not a gun nut, but like the M4A1 is my favorite gun in every game. I don't know what it is, but like the developers always make it feel so smooth to use, and it's so versatile. And the R301 is essentially a M4. It's like they feel almost identical. But yeah, that's a little piece of history for you. Vince Zampella, the head of Respawn, like he's an FPS god. Like he is royalty amongst creations of FPSs.
Wow.
And that team at Respawn is largely the original people around Infinity War. And if you remember, Modern Warfare 3 actually came out, when it came out, it was delayed and it had some problems at launch. That's because they had left after Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 was being made, but most of the people left Infinity Ward to make Respawn, so then another company called Raven had to come in and finish the game. So that's why Modern Warfare 3 is kind of divisive. It was like, it was good, but like it didn't feel complete, and essentially that is why, because two different studios worked on it and not on purpose.
So that's why Modern Warfare 3 felt like a DLC for Modern Warfare 2. Now it makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't a full, complete vision from Vince Zampella and the people formerly of Infinity Ward, but now on a Respawn. So Infinity Ward obviously still exists, and they make Modern Warfare, and they use a lot of the same tech, but they're not the core people that founded Infinity Ward. I love the name too. Like he literally used the name Respawn, like because it's like him coming back to the community. It's perfect. And
so cool.
I don't know how much you guys play Titanfall, but like Titanfall feels so much like Modern Warfare 2, just super cool.
Wow.
That is honestly like one of the coolest things that I've ever heard.
Yeah, Alex and Websy are fully torqued right now.
Wow,
Fully torqued.
Yeah. Rocking a half boner.
I'm literally going. I'm half. I was gonna say I'm camping right now because I'm pitching a tent, dude.
Nice. Okay, let's talk about some other fundamental games. You were gonna say Halo 3, Alex. What else?
Oh, I mean, well, so Halo 3 is by far the most important game to like my foundation, because that was the game where, so I got, when the Xbox came out, or the Xbox 360, I guess, that's when friends would come over and like you'd play split screen, like 4-person, and everyone's in front of the TV and you're all like jarring for positioning, and your friends are lying, saying they're not screen peeking you because you've been killing them the entire time. And it was the best. And then once everyone got their own Xbox, then you're playing online. And that was like really like that transition period of you went from playing in your living room with your friends to playing online. And it just like, it was everything to me. Like Halo 3 was the game that really was my foundation for what I'm doing now. I mean, I played Halo 3, Halo Reach, every Halo game that came out. I played through the Call of Duty series. And now I think, as all of you know, I'm in love with Apex Legends. Mm-hmm. So, for sure. So I mean, that's where I got my start. So when Websy didn't say Halo 3, it kind of blew my mind, because for me, that's the obvious starting point.
Nice.
And a quick shout out to Sklurp's skill at Apex Legends, by the way. He has over 24,000 kills on Caustic. I'm pretty sure it's absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure he's top 15 in the world on that legend. So just as a preface to anyone.
That's much too kind of you. I'm 13th, and thank you.
Amazing.
Huge flex.
Amazing.
Biggest flex.
I want to build off your childhood memory there of your friends coming over and playing split screen, because I have another specific memory of the friends coming over, bringing their fucking TVs and Xbox with them and having LAN parties in the basement.
LANs, dude.
That was fun with Halo, especially with Halo and Gears of War. Gears of War was a big thing too.
LAN parties were the best.
Yeah,
I remember LAN parties heavily.
Nice. DARIK, BRODY, you guys got any... I know that you guys are super huge into Legend of Zelda. You both have tattoos, so I imagine you want to build on the love of Legend of Zelda that Dallas was talking about.
I do. I also have a little bit... I think I have a different answer organically as to how this all came about for me. So if DARIK, if you have just like your answers, go for it, because I'm gonna flip the script
I mean, I already talked a bunch, so I'll just riff them off. Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy X, and any of the Resident Evil stuff. Like that's it for me. Horror, adventure, RPGs, and just straight up adventure with Legend of Zelda. Those are the things that built my video game love, for sure.
Fair enough. So for me, it kind of worked in the reverse, I think, where for the first 10 years of my gaming life, I played just about everything. I mean, and DARIK can vouch for that. We rented everything from Blockbuster. There was no genre or type of game or anything. Yeah, Blockbuster. There was... Wow. It was everything. So I think over the years, instead of me finding pivotal games that defined, my life, it was more I found out what I didn't like. I played your Perfect Darks and your Golden Eyes on N64, and hot take, don't like them. I found out very young that I think first-person shooter, albeit Halo, there are exceptions, but that's not my genre. Right. It ended up being more your Marios, your Sonics, your Aladdin and Lion Kings, even going further back. Like it was your platformers, which then obviously became 3D platformers, which is still my favorite genre. But it wasn't that I played those games and it was like this defined me. It was more that I found out what I didn't like by playing every single game.
Nice. What a worldly answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very safe answer.
Well, it's also just true though. Like I played them all. That's how I know I don't like sci-fi games, really. Like if there's lasers and space, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my favorite games without mentioning a single game.
True.
That was your answer.
Yeah. See, guys, these are my foundation.
Okay. All right, hold on.
Well, the question wasn't what your favorite
That's
game
what I'm
was.
saying. If you said what was your favorite game, I'd have answers. That was not the conversation we...
The joke landed.
I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh once.
4 to 5 people laughed. You're out.
You laugh at your own joke. That doesn't count. So 3 out of 5 people laughed.
No, 3 out of 4. If I had to remove myself from the equation.
There we go.
It's through.
That's a math podcast.
Oh,
I love it.
Jesus Christ. All right, I said my answer. It is what it is.
I want to hear a game out of your mouth though. What's your favorite game?
Super Mario 64, Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts.
Ooh,
Kingdom
Hearts.
Which one?
I mean, 1 because it's Kingdom Hearts 1, but 2 was a better game.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
hot
I wasn't sure if there was like a specific one that like you just fell in love with.
Well, I absolutely fell in love with 1, but 2 was just, it's like Banjo-Tooie. It was everything the first one was and better. And then Kingdom Hearts 3 came along and shit all over my dreams, so.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Kingdom Hearts 3.
I guess like foundation games, I feel like I'm pretty similar with most of you. Like I would say Modern Warfare 1 and 2. That was like the first time, like I played a lot of soccer and a lot of hockey growing up. So video games, I didn't really get into video games until a little bit later into life.
Right.
Or maybe a little bit later than most. Because I don't really have a lot of memories with the Nintendo 64 or anything like that, even though a lot of my friends played those. It wasn't until like Xbox 360 that video games really became a big part of my life. But yeah, so I Modern Warfare 2 is like the first game I think I would race home and like turn on and start playing for the night. Like I would be like, Mom, I'm just going to play Xbox for the day. And she'd be like, no, you're not. But like that's like the first game that I really can connect. And then, I would say Halo, this is the Halo series, like 1, 2, and 3. That was one of the first games where like I really wanted to beat and play the campaign, and my best friend growing up, we used to play them together, and not just once. Like we would just go through and just keep beating the campaign even though we played it, and then we'd up the difficulty and then try to do it on legendary. And like that was like one of those games. It wasn't even really about being good at multiplayer, because we just played multiplayer with like a group of like 6. Like 6 of us would play multiplayer together. It wasn't about being the best of the world. It was like the best out of 6 of us. So that's all I thought about. It wasn't even, I didn't really think about being competitive. It was really just be good enough to beat your friends at Halo and play those silly Forge maps where like you would try to like do the like jumping and stuff, or the one where you have the sniper in the middle and you have to go around the track and you try to complete the race before the sniper killed you. That was like my favorite Forge. I love that one so much. Whoever made that, thank you. It was so much fun. Yeah, and then like after that, I would say, so that got me into kind of like shooting games and some campaign. And then it wasn't until a lot later in life, like 2014, I think, when the game BioShock Infinite came out, and I was working at EB Games at the time, or GameStop for our American friend. And the BioShock Infinite came out, and I remember making a comment like, oh, that looks kind of dumb. And then my boss is like, well, why don't you go home and play it and tell me how dumb it is? So I went home and I played it, and I stayed up all night to beat it. Like I pulled a full all-nighter. Yeah. I was so fucking in love with that game. I still am to this day. I'm getting very excited just talking about it, like sexually. It's such an amazing game. Yeah, so that it's such a fundamental game for me, because it actually really pushed me into writing what I'm doing now, because it showed me that something can be both fun gameplay wise, but can really land story notes and really move you. And that game, like, I actually kind of feel like changed my life in that sense, because it made me kind of fall in love with writing again, and kind of like the idea of telling a story that could move a person that's just working minimum wage at an EB Games. Right. And that was that game for me. So Ken Levine is the writer and creator of that game, and like I follow him on Twitter, and I just can't wait for him to say what game he's working on. It's been like 10 years, but I'm waiting for him to work on another game, because yeah, that game changed my life. That's my fundamentals.
An incredible mention. That game is unreal.
Oh yeah, it's so
you're the one that got me to play it too.
I try to get everyone to play it, and if I fail or succeed really dictates where I value our friendship.
That's awesome.
Did you play Gabe? Check yes or no. If no, then just get out of here.
So what if I never played BioShock Infinite?
Yeah, I didn't either.
I know you haven't, and it's okay. You'll never be a tier 1.
Well, the thing is, I really liked BioShock 1, and then I tried playing BioShock 2, and I'm like, this is fucking dumb.
Nah, dude.
So BioShock 2 is not even made by Rational Games, who made BioShock 1. So they made BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite. BioShock 2 was only made because of how successful BioShock 1 was, but Irrational Games was busy making BioShock Infinite, so they made another studio make BioShock 2. So BioShock 2 is technically part of the series, but really not.
Pales in
it's
comparison.
not.
So like Cars 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool. Just making sure
No. It's like Planes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it like Planes 2 though?
Yeah. There's a plane
There
there.
is. Yeah.
I sure hope not.
Completely
It's
off
like
the map.
fire and engine rescue or something.
It's so funny how that narrative doesn't play out. They'll never tell you that as the developer. They'll never be like, hey, by the way, we commissioned a second studio that had nothing to do with the creation of the first game that you know and love. And the existing studio is currently working on an even better game.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we'll release
Exactly,
the shittier version to get your money. And then once you paid for that, we'll release the hot drop.
And then, like, without getting into spoilers, too, like, BioShock Infinite is not connected to BioShock 1. Like, you don't have to play BioShock 1 to play BioShock Infinite.
Right.
Like, I hadn't played any of the BioShocks. That's why I looked at a trailer one day and said it was stupid.
Well, one's in the water
then
and
had
one's
my
in the
mind blown.
clouds, right? That's the only difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only difference, bro.
They used the same audio and acting from the first one. They
Nailed
just,
it.
they just did, like, a wind effect in the background to change it up. Same game.
Thought so.
Oh, man.
Yeah. All right, let's talk to somebody else. Alex, tell us about your week.
Yeah, we digressed hard.
Yeah, we did.
I know.
I loved it. My week's been really good. Really, I'm just excited because Apex has the new War Games event coming out. I mean, I know you're all surprised that what I'm excited about next week is Apex.
I'm just going to write it down and just make sure that next week we don't have a repeat, okay? So I'll just make sure that you can only talk about Apex every once a
Well,
month.
You get a quota.
I guess this is going to be my only podcast, guys. I'll see you next month. I don't.
See you next month, boys.
See ya.
See you in a month.
But no,
ahead.
Apex. No, you're fine. So Apex is having their War Games limited time mode come out next Tuesday. Their updates always come out Tuesday, and it really grinds my gears because hey, make it come out Monday. But they've got 5 new game modes coming out over the next 2 weeks, and then right after that, we'll be a few days away from the next season. So I'm pumped, and that's what I'm excited about. And I know probably Dallas and maybe David are the only ones that can relate to that. But
Derek too.
Derek loves
oh, that's true. I
Apex.
mean, Derek has been getting back into the Apex, and
Yep.
it's been kind of turning me on because
I've
I
fallen in
Right.
love with it.
Oh man,
Derek actually got me back into Apex. I was watching one of his streams and he was playing Apex, and I was like, oh, I remember the good old days of Apex. Watched him play for a couple of minutes, so I was like, oh, I'm just going to download it. I think I even wrote in your chat, like, I'm currently downloading Apex.
Yep. It's so good.
It's so good. I have a question for you, Alex. I read that with the new War Games, they're not going to do 2 different queues. It's all going to sit in the same queue. So you can't really play a regular Apex. You're going to be forced to play, and I don't mean to use negative connotation, but you're going to be put into play these War Games. Like, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's, like, good for you in the community, or are you going to kind of get tired of it right
Before
away?
you answer that, can you just explain to me what War Games is? I don't know what this is.
I actually have it up if you want me to go through like the iterations in like very brief detail.
please do.
So Apex is releasing 5 different LTM game modes that are going to sit, it looks like, from week to week periods. So starting on April 13th all the way through April 27th, they have basically 5 modes. The first one will be Second Chance, so everyone gets one free respawn per match. You just drop again if you die. The next one is Ultra Zones, so it'll have like hot zones with very epic loot, and they're on like a specific point. The next one's auto banners, so like someone goes down, you automatically get their banner no matter where you are on the map without going to their death box and acquiring the banner itself. The next one's called Killing Time, so whenever a legend dies, the round time is reduced. And if any given round is a massacre, the ring will close like super quick.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the last one's Armor Regen. So basically you just
Halo,
regenerate
yeah.
points over time of armor.
I mean, as someone who doesn't play a lot of Apex, those sound like really, really good tactics to implement. Because like it's going to feel different, but also it's not at all. There are 5 different ways of playing the game that aren't going to feel like you're playing it any different, which is really cool.
Exactly, and that's what I really love is that, you know, several times Apex has done this now since the game has come out, where they'll test these new game modes over a week or 2, and then they'll implement pieces of them, and keep them and, bring them along. And so it's a really nice way to where you get to like try out a bunch of different things. And then normally the best things are carried over, which is nice. David was asking, how do I feel about that being integrated within the normal mode? So like the last mode they had was these ring flares, and it was absolutely terrible. And I hated playing Apex for 2 weeks because
when I started playing it again for a little bit.
You picked a great time. And so that's, I think, the only instance I can remember where I was like, why did they not make this a separate game mode in addition to just the normal game mode? And so I was a little nervous when I saw the event come out and it said 5 new game modes. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to play Apex for 2 weeks and I'm just going to, have a stroke. But no, I mean, all of these sound great. I mean, like, I'm really excited about like getting a free respawn. That's very Warzone-esque because Warzone has a mode named Resurgence. I'm not sure how many of you guys have played Warzone. And so
yeah, for sure.
And even Gulag too.
Exactly. Right? It's even like a quicker Gulag, for example. And Ultra Zones is kind of a riff off of another mode they had. Called Flashpoint, and Flashpoint was great. Basically, you couldn't heal unless you were inside these flashpoints, so it's a similar style of like the bubbles, except in this case, like Websy was saying, it'll be like really high tier loot, which will be fun. Auto banners is something I could definitely see them implementing long term, because one of the things that I come in contact with most in like my sweat lobbies is that if they kill one of your friends, they'll just camp on his box hardcore to make sure you're not going to be able to respawn your teammate, and that kind of ruins the game for the person that died. And I know that they died, and that's part of the game, but also I think it'll be a nice way to just, remove that kind of toxic aspect from the game, because, I mean, even so, they could still go to the respawn beacon, and hang out there, but at least you have a chance, I guess is the point. And so that's a nice thing that, I could see them implementing long-term once the game mode's over. Killing time, I'm really excited for that personally, just because I want to see how many people I can kill and then have the ring kill them. Because I'm just an aggressive person. That's just how I am. I'm like, oh man, I could really just screw a lot of people over here. And so that sounds kind of like a fun thing for me. And then the armor regen's a really interesting one, because they just gave Wattson that buff last season where she passively regenerates shields, just like how Octane passively regenerates health. So it's interesting that they just decided to give this ability to all of the characters now for a few days. And I could see them implementing that over time, just because it makes sense. Shields can be really hard to come by sometimes, and it's very, very frustrating to be running around with no shields. Someone can pop you with a headshot, and your day is done. So overall, I'm really excited for all the game modes, and I'm just pumped. I'm pumped for Apex all the time, as all of you know. But the new game modes, I'm really looking forward to. So,
weren't you saying that Evo shields were a portion of an LTM that they kept?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Evo shields weren't a thing. I mean, there used to be in the game. So it used to just be shields were just static. The health was static, and you'd have to go find a new shield on somebody's box, or just, among loot. And then they made a mode where Evo shields were in the game, but so there were Evo shields and normal shields. And then they just fully removed normal shields over time. And now, all you have are these giant glowing shields, which I don't know why they still glow, because it's really annoying, but because they're the only shield in the map now. But yeah, Evo shields are a great example of how they implemented something that was a really great way to implement, because you don't have somebody who's just finding a purple, and just because you had bad luck on finding armor, now I can just change that aspect. If I'm playing better, if I'm doing a lot of damage to people, I now have a better shield because I've been more aggressive. And so I like when they reward players for being aggressive, because that's one of the things for me that makes the game better than Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty, you encounter a lot of campers and stuff because there's no reason to engage. They don't give you any motivation to engage other enemies because you already have the loot you want, or you have the loadout you want. And so I really like that Apex rewards you for playing aggressively and not sitting in a room for 30 minutes.
Love it.
I think a couple points there is a lot of the, if you're comparing like maybe Warzone versus Apex, the map design and the way the rings push in Apex inherently wants you to be in conflict with people. It's not even just about being aggressive. It's like, if you think about Kings Canyon, and you do it like a top down of it, they all funnel people together. Like every portion of that map is designed to funnel you into a fight with somebody or somebody that's already fighting. It's pretty hard to camp in those with the way the rings move.
Exactly. Well, and that's the beautiful thing that in Warzone, rather than focusing on funneling people together, they just said, "Hey, let's make the lobbies gigantic." And you don't have to make the lobbies gigantic. I mean, Apex lobbies are 60 people, and it always feels hectic, and you don't have to have 100 people or 150 people to do that. It's the way the map was designed, and that's what's so nice about Apex, is it was so carefully thought out, and they keep taking that into account. So
I don't know I'm streaming, so I guess I'm not on record, but Derek and I were actually just talking about the Evo Shields this week. I said to Derek, I think that's the best implementation to the game since it came out, is the addition of the Evo Shields. It feels like that a small detail completely changed like the meta of how to play. Additionally, about the limited time modes, the LTMs, I like this set of 5 because each one seems intuitive but not invasive. LTMs across all games can be very invasive because the idea is to change things up and freshen them up. But I think with this carefully thought out list, other than killing time, I think all of them are just small little changes to freshen it up that kind of like balance new ideas, but doesn't fundamentally change Apex for the week that it's running. And I think that's a really cool way of doing or running a limited time mode event.
I agree.
I totally agree.
I would love to. I think like we've been talking about Apex for quite a while, and just before we do move on, I wanted to hear the opinion of what Brody thinks of Apex, because I know Brody is from like a gamer's perspective, not necessarily the largest fan of first-person shooters as a genre, but has also played a lot of the battle royale genre. So it'd be cool to hear like what your first impressions are of Apex.
Okay, so 2 things there. Yes, I have played every AAA, I guess if you want to call it that, battle royale that's come to market. I've played them. PUBG was my favorite. Granted, third person.
Right.
So what I find with these kinds of games personally is that I usually gravitate toward the realistic aspect of them, which is why I liked PUBG and why I spent so long on Warzone as well, not really liking first-person shooters. Warzone had me for like a year.
Right.
Apex and Fortnite. Apex I played when it came out. I did, before there was Evo Shields, like, you know, way back in the day with Derek and David and I when we lived together.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just didn't stick. And I'm trying to re-download it. And what you're saying, and technically, and like from a dev standpoint and everything, I do appreciate Apex. I think it's gorgeous. I think it runs smoother than any other battle royale. I think it manages to do what these other games do as well, but be very individualistic with what it's trying to accomplish. But I think my major issue with it is one that David was just praising, and it's that the map is designed to funnel you into other fights all of the time, forever, always getting third-partied. It drives me nuts, and I want to have fun. I want to get a kill or 2 before I die once in a while, you know?
Right,
Granted, that's my skill. I have a lack of skill at that game, so I'm going to die more than I get kills. But I want, I guess, I don't know. I just want some form of saving grace, some form of easy mode for it or something, I guess. I don't know.
You think like from an entry level perspective, it's just too difficult to integrate yourself into the community,
and maybe there's skill-based matchmaking. I don't know. You would know better than me, but
they're 1,000%.
Sure as shit didn't feel like it. Like when I started playing Fortnite, you know, you win your first 10 games because you're playing against 6-year-olds or bots.
Right.
Yeah, but you're always playing with me and Derek, and I've played thousands upon thousands of games, and I've ranked up high. So it's like, if you played solo, you might have a different experience.
Also, the last time you played Apex was on console. Now you're playing it on PC with PC players, and
also the first FPS that I've played mouse and keyboard. So
that's true too.
Yeah,
but also, to that extent, as you're saying though, like I think Fortnite just in general does a very good job of integrating new players and making them feel welcome and skilled. You know, like. Maybe you can't build when you're brand new at Fortnite, and maybe you hit like a quarter of your shots, but you still get that first win, and you still have a matchmaking with people who are not that great, right? Whereas Apex, like, you queue up with your friends who have played thousands of games, and it's just like, oh, well, we're not going to ruin the experience for the people who have played thousands of games. So we're going to put you in those lobbies.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more of a praise for Fortnite in its new player acquisition than it is a knock on Apex for
Absolutely.
its
Fortnite
stylistic
gets you
choices,
hooked right away, where I think Apex,
True.
once you play it over and over again, it's a slow pull, and you end up, it takes over your life, right?
And Apex is very consistent with its, like, Apex is very clear right off the bat that it thrives on the complexity of its systems, and that's what it wants to work with. It's not trying to be simplistic in terms of, like, fights and the mechanics behind them. It's trying to be simplistic in other things, like its menus and like using abilities and such. But like, it's not going to ease you into things. Like, a lot of fights in Fortnite can be had without building, because that's a mechanic that is just a higher skill cap. It's like same with Rocket League, where many games can be played without knowing how to fly. That's just not the case in Apex. They didn't make two different skill gap systems. You know what I mean? The people that you almost fight the entire way, or entirely the same way, from bronze when you first start to Apex Predators at the end. Like, it's just how skilled you are at that time in decision making and reflexes and stuff. Yeah. But like, the mechanics haven't changed. It's not a different game. And that's just a commitment from like the design of signings.
So two things in regards to Brody. One, the LTMs that are coming out for Apex, I think you're gonna really enjoy them. Based on your concerns with the game as it is right now. And I hope that some of these LTM elements are brought over into the game consistently, permanently, for you to enjoy the game more, because I love playing with you. Like, when you come in and we play, it's a good time. So I hope you find some sort of at least half love with Apex. The second thing to the Fortnite thing, I'm an exception to the rule where I hated Fortnite right off the bat, and I've always hated Fortnite. Yeah. And Apex, when I started playing, I loved it immediately. So there's that. Yeah.
I don't really think you're an exception to the rule. There are always going to be cases where somebody comes in and hates it. It's the come in, don't mind it, and then fall in love with it. I think that's more the rule.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're already at the barrier and don't like it, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit of a different thing. It's like, if you open up an ice cream shop and somebody tastes your ice cream, they're like, oh, I don't like ice cream. You're not going to like soak them into getting other flavors and buy a membership. But if you have a really good program and somebody's like, oh, I like ice cream, but I just like vanilla. Oh, well, maybe I'll try the mint. Oh, maybe I'll try the strawberry. You know what I mean? Like, there's just two different types of customers. You're always going to have a hard no on some.
Fair. But it's not a hard no on video games. It's a hard no on Fortnite as a battle royale.
Yes. And I think it's different from their system, because they're like, they don't design to try to turn no's into yeses.
Right.
They try to turn a little bit of playtime into a medium amount of playtime into a lot amount of playtime. Yeah. That's the system. Yeah. It's not a no to yes. It's a maybe to yes, please. That's
well, it definitely got my no.
Yeah.
Well,
and they don't give a
I would
fuck.
just like to re-emphasize the no towards Fortnite.
Derek, what do you dislike about Fortnite so much?
Fortnite off the hop, I hate, well, the building. And it's not just because I can't do it, because there's that.
Are you sure?
But I also think it doesn't matter. Like, the building doesn't need to be there. Like, I feel like it would be a better game. And this is just an subjective opinion, I should say. My personal opinion. I think that without the building, it would just be a better game. It would be like a souped up Fortnite, like a Saints
PUBG.
Row, PUBG, yeah, Saints Row version of PUBG.
I agree.
Right.
I think that would make a better game.
With like added cover on the map and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Gotcha.
When I'm shooting a target, I don't want to have to shoot their barrier to shoot the target in a battle royale. Yeah. I agree with Derek in this. I have not played a lot of Fortnite, so I don't really have many opinions on it. But yeah, I agree that like sometimes the building feels like it takes away from the battle royale aspect, because it becomes defeating structures, not defeating.
Yeah, and now I see that they've added in like wild animals that attack you and stuff like that too. And it's just I don't know, it's getting kind of silly. It's taking away from the PvP, and I don't know what it is now.
I will say, in terms of competitive games, there's a lot of games where I get hard stuck at a certain skill cap, and then I'm just kind of plateaued and I'm fine with it and I can enjoy the game. Fortnite is one of the ones that I got into very heavily, and I got to a certain skill cap, and then it began getting frustrating.
Yeah.
At the matchmaking and the level of skill that I was being put against. Like, I constantly felt like I had to be sweating out of my mind. Whereas in like in Apex, I go in ranked and I'm like, hey, win some, you lose some. Like, if I'm at the rank I'm at, I feel like it's appropriate. And in Fortnite, I don't feel that. I feel like I'm constantly having to worry about these kids who are just at 14 feet above me by the time I've even cranked like 3 levels.
I've actually heard a similar criticism from some big content creators about the skill or the matchmaking, skill-based matchmaking being pretty like hectic in Fortnite. So I wonder if they just tune it to be very aggressive. And make sure, like, I think it makes sense because we were just talking about their strategy and new players and warming them up. So you would have to be aggressive on your top end players in order to create a safe place for your new players.
I think there's a better way of pairing them, though. Like, I don't think that they're pairing them in the right way. Like, from a developer's perspective, like, what is the thing that makes someone better in Fortnite? I would say it's probably the builds per second and the edits per second. Like, if you just take those as a core fundamental for like what someone is doing, just match those players up together. It has nothing to do with kills and wins. Like, put the people who want to sweat out of their mind and build out of their mind against each other.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
I don't know if that's like they may already be doing that,
Right?
but yeah. That is a good point. Like, I think Fortnite is a game, and this kind of dictates why I don't really like it and why Derek doesn't really like it. It does seem like a lot of skill is associated with builds and edits per minute or per second. Than it is about kills and the wins. I feel like they probably go hand in hand. There's probably a lot of correlating data that if you build quickly and edit quickly, you probably kill a lot too. But yeah, I'm sure I'd be interested to see if that's how they do skill-based matchmaking. They'll never show us. That's kind of a rule of thumb for video games.
Yeah, classic.
But yeah, skill-based matchmaking is just something that you just don't really, from a development side, you just don't really talk about. It's something that just keep quiet and just move on. Okay, we need to move. Speaking of moving on, let's move on to Brody and let's talk about his week and see what he's bringing to the
I thought
table
I
for
already
us to
did
talk
that.
about. Nah,
No.
you've said nothing.
I've been talking loads. Get out of here. I want to circle back, just because I haven't talked in the last 40 minutes. I'd like to circle back just a little bit. Dallas, that game you were talking about on the GameCube, what was it called?
Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2.
Yeah, so I just want to laugh at it. I looked this up, so I'm not all on my high horse or anything, but like the game's called Phantasy Star Online, and we were all like, "Are you sure it's online?"
That's a great point.
That's so true.
This is true, and yes, it is.
Yeah, fuck what Dallas is saying. We can't believe it.
Yeah, it was the first console game to feature online capabilities, and one of 8
Let's
that was
go.
released on GameCube that allowed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I
Fun little
still don't
fact.
believe you.
Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about this week. So
Still doesn't make any sense. But yeah.
That's it. That's my segment. Thanks, guys.
I don't have a lot, honestly. I was looking at movie news, or gaming news, and then movie news came out automatically. And first of all, Dungeons and Dragons. Did you guys know there was a movie? Do you care? Did you watch the original?
There's a movie?
Well, there was a movie. Okay, there was
In
an
like
original.
2002.
I think it was 2000 or something, and it was garbage. And the only way I found out that there's a new movie coming out is because I just read an article that it's being delayed, and that made me really upset. It's.
I was so looking forward to it. I just found out.
I know. Well, I mean, I've been playing D&D obviously for the last like year, and it's been the first time I ever played it, and it was a lot of fun. And it's written by John Francis Daly, who's
Okay.
amazing. I mean, I don't know why he's doing D&D when he's a comedian. If you guys don't know, he's the main kid from Freaks and Geeks. He wrote Waiting. He did Horrible Bosses.
Yeah, he's also a
Horrible
huge
Bosses.
nerd, so I feel like
couple good movies.
that's an appropriate.
All right.
person
Well, I mean,
to write it.
I love him. That's great. And like Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez or something. Anyway, I just got amped on it, and then I read the article, and it was like, just kidding. That probably won't happen until 2023.
They're trying to get Marlon Wayans. That's why.
Oh, is that what it is? They wanted to just kill him again?
Yeah.
Can you, as someone from an outside perspective, just before we move on from, because I feel like it's fresh, can you explain to me just like a very high level, what is D&D and what is the appeal? because I've heard so many people talking about playing D&D, and it's always been something that I'm like, oh, I feel like I may want to try that, but I just don't know.
I'll tell you quickly what it is, and I'll tell you quickly why you would love it too, because I literally, in my mind, every single person could find something to enjoy, because you can literally make it. So real quick before I get into it, the first time I ever sat down and played D&D, we got in a fight with a bartender, and he failed the fight or something, so I slept with his wife out of spite, and then I got a tramp stamp. So like
this is in real life.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the D&D.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about my conquest.
And now to
he
D&D.
just had to set up D&D story. So now he'll talk about his D&D experience starting
Right
now.
So either way, that's my point, is you can do absolutely anything. But the game it's essentially, it's it's an RPG. It's, if you've ever played an RPG, which I know you have because you just mentioned Phantasy Star, it's that, but lately it's virtual. Obviously we all do it online, but it's, 5 or 6 friends sitting around. There's like a guidebook in the middle. You all have your own page with your stats and your level up and your treasure and your armor and all that shit. And you just work with each other. It's like an escape room mixed with an adventure, and but you talk it out. It's not a video game. It's just a game.
Right.
And then Dallas, there's a dungeon master who's like leading the story. So you ask him like, can we go here? Like that's the guide. So basically they have a story planned out, or kind of like a world built that you get to explore with a group of friends, and then you tell them your intentions and your actions, and then he or she they give you like the feedback. Thank you. Yeah. So that's just cut everything, and it will just say they.
Yes. So I think that was where I got lost in the D&D adventure, is like how the DM determines what the adventure is. Are they freestyling this, or are they coming up with something off the internet?
It's a bit of both. It's like a good comedy movie. A little bit of it's improv. There's overall storylines to follow. There's like hundreds and hundreds of them that you can download and you can follow. But what the players do and stuff, obviously the DM then has to edit kind of what's going on. Adapt would be the better word. Yeah. So it is, and also like when there's battles and stuff, like the DM has to roll. They can't just be like, no, he one hits you. Like they roll for their defense and their attack and stuff too when they're these dragons or beasts or whatever. So,
right,
it's cool. And I think that, anyway, just circling back, I think the movie, if it's just gonna be a D&D, if it's just gonna be a medieval movie with dragons, I think it's gonna be a bust. What I think they should do, and what I wanted to talk about because I think it'd be great, is do it like they did the reboot of Jumanji. Where they make it like these nerds playing Dungeons & Dragons, something happens, they get sucked into the world, and like they're aware of it, so they can break the fourth wall. They can be like, I'm in chainmail, what is this? Like it could be, I think it'd be really cool.
So
that would be really
just make it Jumanji 3 then.
Sure, fuck it, I don't care.
I like the idea of like them just saying things out loud, like I have a sword now, and it just appears in their hand. Like
you asked me to talk, and I'm gonna talk, and then you just shit all over me.
No, that was a great idea, Brody. What the hell is going on?
Just put Kevin Hart in chainmail. That's all I want. Okay.
That's all. That's it. Yeah,
facts.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
But yeah, other than that, I saw that Sonic is getting a new game, and I thought that franchise was dead, but I guess the movie kind of helps that come back. So I'm interested because obviously I've always loved Sonic, but the games have sucked for like 20 years. So,
what's your favorite Sonic game?
2? And Knuckles?
The Knuckles one, yeah.
The Knuckles one's pretty good.
I have one that I played, I think, more than potentially any other GameCube game other than Wind Waker.
Oh, wow.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Yes, I remember that one.
So good, man. It's so good.
I
can't even like express enough. I forget what those things. There's like you go and there's like these little things that are they have like round egg-shaped heads with like a little ball on the top of them. Yeah,
they're those little teardrop looking things, yeah.
Yeah, and you take care of them, and then you like raise them up in levels and feed them fruits and stuff, and you nurture them, and then they have competitions. That was like
what the hell?
They're like chows or something like that.
Chows. That's exactly what it is.
Imagine somebody living in a bunker coming out and listening to what Websy's saying right now.
Dude, the chows in that game were everything to me. I spent hundreds of hours in the chow gardens.
That's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of hours.
Hundreds. I'm not under exaggerating. It was hundreds of hours.
Kids at school had their Tamagotchis. Websy went home and fed his chows.
Yeah.
For real. And just fucking petting them and just going, hey there, little buddy. Hey there, little buddy. and just constantly in that game. I loved it. That's what like hooked me on Sonic, not the original stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you have to like prove to your parents, like, I take like really great care of my chows. Like I can get a dog, like 100%.
They're like, Dallas, honey, what the fuck?
And then we adopted a sibling, and then that's how it segued into,
you're a master chow taker care of.
Oh, you have no idea. My chows were taking over the world, baby.
You were in the chow zone. Nice.
I was.
Well, damn.
Anything else?
No, that's all I got, really. I honestly, I like scrolled through like 14 pages of movie news or fucking gaming news on different sites and different apps and stuff, and I just, all of it bored me. I saw something about like Epic Games is worried that they're gonna go bankrupt for like $380 million, and I'm like, boring. So I don't know
how.
Because they're giving everything away for free, and there was a whole thing. I couldn't read it. It's not looking good though for them right now.
Wow, that's crazy. They just bought Rocket League, and like,
yeah, but because they keep buying these things, and then they're putting things out for free, and they're giving you all your contents where like you don't have to spend money in Fortnite to get good things, pretty much. Like maybe
they bought Rocket League for way too much money, and now they're bankrupt.
Right.
And
I think probably what's at the root of that, and we have not read the story, so let's
this is all. Let's preface this by saying that this is all speculation.
Exactly.
All I did was said this
just
is the title.
By the title. Yeah, just by the title, I would assume that they invested way too heavily in the success of their Epic Store. Right. Use the profits from Fortnite, which is Fortnite and Rocket League, which are extremely profitable titles, but are hemorrhaging money because they're trying to bring in a user base for their Epic Store and are just not actually seeing a return on that. Like,
they're
people
not
are
beating
accepting
Steam.
the free games every Thursday, and then they're not actually making purchases. So then there's like no turnaround. So I would imagine that a bankrupt is probably not going to happen, but you're probably going to see a decision on the future of the Epic Store probably within the next year. They'll figure out whether it is sustainable or it is not. It was definitely like Steam is such a juggernaut that like Steam is on the Microsoft platform, and Microsoft themselves don't even want to compete with them. Yeah. So when Epic Games decided they did, I kind of chuckled.
Yeah.
I was like, Microsoft said no, thank you, and you think you're going to do it? So I'm interested. I like the Epic Store in some ways, but it's still definitely not the platform that Steam is.
Yeah, I would agree.
We should have a section of our podcast called Hearsay, and we just say shit about stuff we only read the title of.
Just to make up the
that
article.
Actually is such a good idea.
So much slander, so many gossip and rumors.
Cut it out, David. We're fucking keeping this.
Yeah. I think it's great.
Okay. I'll just introduce a little jingle, and then I'll just say Hearsay, and then this conversation will
Did you guys hear Epic's going bankrupt by September?
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then all that you have to do is just come to that segment with the title of an article that you read, and then we all just talk about the article, not knowing what the article is.
Sounds like a phenomenal idea.
I think we should clarify, because you said come with an idea that an article you read. Don't read the article.
Just the
it's
title,
better.
Dude. That's
it. Read the title.
Just the title. Just read the title and bring the title. Don't even read.
You know what's great, Websy? That I actually got baited by that today. I was on Snapchat, and I shouldn't have been. And they put those articles up, quote unquote articles.
Yes.
And there was an article that said these big streamers are failing in their real lives, and it's like a picture of Ninja crying, and I was like, I gotta click this. And so I clicked it, and it's all it was saying Ninja can't cook well. It was that was the article, but he's failing in his real life. The guy who's making millions of dollars a month, and I was just like, this is incredible.
Right.
So I'm very excited for Hearsay is the point.
Yeah.
I actually just found out that I'm failing in many aspects of my life.
Right.
Are you crying on Snapchat though?
Okay. Thanks to our sponsor, Blue Chew.
Just cutting onions. Oh man.
Okay, we're gonna end this.
Yeah.
This is the end of the podcast. Now. Okay, so let's talk about where we can find each one of you and what you guys are doing this week. We will start with Brody and work our way backwards from the original stuff. Fuck me. So anyways, Brody, What's your week looking like this? What can we look forward to? And where can we watch and when can we watch?
Cool. Yeah. Well, my week schedule is the same every single week. So it's Sundays at noon. These are all Eastern time. Sundays at noon. Then Monday evenings at like 6:30 and Wednesday evenings at 6:30. In terms of what I'm playing, I don't know yet tomorrow because I was going to use our game of the week or whichever to decide. Since we're
I'll send that to you guys.
okay. Yeah. We can either edit this out or just it's for later. Don't worry about it. And then Wednesday I'll be continuing Evil Within because I started that last week on my Wicked Wednesday stream and it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. So that's where you can find me Wednesday night.
And it's twitch.tv/aka Bro Montana.
Probably could have said that. Yes. That's it.
Good.
That's it. You heard it. You heard it there first.
Boom. Alex, tell us what your work. Wow, that spiked some fucking audio.
Nice.
Alex!
Alex, you lord!
You can find me at Sklurpicide on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok.
Spell that.
I play Apex Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. GMT. And then on Saturdays, normally I do a whiskey stream on Saturday night. And the time is usually TBD. So that's all I got.
Whenever you're drunk enough to like press record, right? Or start streaming.
Exactly.
I feel like you should definitely just for this first episode spell your name.
I'll be in the notes, show notes. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, nice try, pal.
Because
Try to get me to spell.
Don't do
Trying to get me to spell live.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Exactly right.
He can't spell his own name. That's why this is.
Yeah, I'll see you in the firing range, you son of a bitch.
I don't remember who is next. It's either Websy or Derek.
Dallas.
Okay, Dallas.
Houston.
What up? Tell us about your week.
So you can find me on twitch.tv/Websy Jr. or JR. That's WEBBZY JR. I'll spell it.
Can you spell it in more ways?
Can you say Z instead of Zed? Because Zed's a musical artist and Z's the letter, you know? So.
No, dude, because I'm from Canada. So my week is, every week is Monday, Wednesday, Thursday around like 6:30 p.m. Eastern. This Monday, we have a fabulous collab with the wonderful Georgie Games. We're likely going to be playing either Fortnite or Apex. It's probably going to be Fortnite, if I had to take a guess. Wednesday, I do my throwbacks. I'm thinking of just sticking to the Legend of Zelda series, just to play literally all of them. But I'm currently on the Ocarina of Time at the Fire Temple, at the adult Fire Temple, which is exciting.
Very exciting.
And then Thursday, likely more Apex.
Yeah.
It's not on Monday because I'm absolutely in love with Apex.
Yeah, you are.
Nice.
Yeah. Is it my turn?
100% is
Cool.
your turn.
So you can find me at twitch.tv/StrudleDude. That's STROODLEDUDE. And my schedule is actually changing for this week. It's going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays now. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 10:30, 11, or whenever I decide to end. Tuesdays are my time travel Tuesdays, so I play retro games, N64, Nintendo, Game Boy. Or I'm thinking about doing some GameCube too. I guess GameCube's considered retro now too, which is sad.
Wow, that's a sad one.
And then Thursdays, it's basically going to be whatever I really feel like playing. Right now, I'm really in that Apex mode, so I'll probably be playing some Apex. And then Saturdays, I'm launching a talk show for the Twitch community and for everybody in our Twitch community. It's called Ready Player Who. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Saturday night Eastern time. And AKA Bro Montana is actually going to be my first guest, so that's going to be fun.
Let's
Who, me?
go. That's awesome.
Yeah, just to start us off.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And that's at twitch.tv/StrudleDude.
Correct.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to it.
So if you're a viewer, you've probably already seen that at this point, depending on when this gets released. But that's really exciting to hear that you're starting.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about the negative implications of this.
Oh,
Congrats on it going so well, Strudel.
Yeah.
Congrats on
Man, it popped
absolutely
off.
crushing.
Popping
Man, did you have a good
off,
time,
baby.
bro?
Nice.
Yeah, it was so much fun. You asked such good questions. The raid of 92 that came through, that was insane.
The rate of 92.
Just putting it into the universe.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's great.
But the idea behind the show is just to get people in from the community and talk to them. I feel like we get to know people as far as their Twitch lives are and who they are as streamers. This is to get a little bit deeper than that, just to figure out who they are as human beings and beyond the streaming platform. So yeah.
Do you want me to cry?
If you could shed one tear,
or just one tear, and then I'll vacuum it back in.
Rolls down the cheek.
Yeah.
Well,
I can do that.
Okay. That was episode 1 of the may or may not be released ZoomOut podcast. You can find us at ZoomOut tweets on Twitter, and I will put a post link or a link to our YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. Please go out and support all our creators. Their Twitch links will be in our bio and in the show notes. And we will be back next week with another episode if this goes well. You know what? I'll edit it. We might not be back next week. We'll find out. Again, thank you so much for listening, and have yourselves a great week. Bye for now.